A millionaire caught his cleaner with his daughter behind her back and discovered something that would change his life forever. What he discovered next shocked everyone. Robert Sterling thought he knew everything about his household staff. The 48-year-old real estate mogul ran his Chicago mansion like a business, with clear boundaries and professional expectations. His 3-year-old daughter Emma was his world, especially since his wife had passed away 2 years ago. But sometimes the people you trust to care for your home end up caring for your heart in ways you never expected. It was a quiet Tuesday afternoon when Robert decided to leave his downtown office early. The property deals had been signed ahead of schedule, and he wanted to spend time with little Emma before her evening routine. As his silver Mercedes pulled into the circular driveway, Robert felt that familiar warmth of anticipation. These precious hours with his daughter had become the highlight of his busy days. Robert entered through the front door expecting to find Emma napping, and their housekeeper Sofia Martinez finishing her cleaning duties in other parts of the house. But instead, he heard gentle singing coming from the kitchen, a soft, melodic voice he recognized, but had never heard sound so tender and loving. Sofia had been their housekeeper for almost 2 years, since just after his wife's funeral. She was professional, reliable, and kept to herself in exactly the way Robert preferred his employees to behave. She cleaned efficiently, prepared simple meals when needed, and maintained the pristine appearance his mansion required. At least, that's what Robert had always believed about their arrangement. But as Robert moved quietly toward the kitchen, something about the scene he was witnessing made his chest tighten with an emotion he couldn't quite identify. Sofia was standing at the kitchen island, his 3-year-old daughter Emma strapped securely to her back in what looked like a well-used baby carrier. Emma's tiny arms were wrapped around Sofia's neck, her blonde curls bouncing gently as Sofia moved around the kitchen, cleaning and organizing while humming a Spanish lullaby. The sight stopped Robert cold. Emma looked completely content, her blue eyes bright and alert, as she watched Sofia's every movement. This wasn't the crying, fussy toddler he often struggled to manage during their limited time together. This was a peaceful, happy child who seemed perfectly at home in Sofia's care. Robert pressed himself against the hallway wall, his businessman instincts telling him to observe before reacting. How long had this been going on? How many times had Sofia been carrying Emma around the house while he assumed his daughter was sleeping or playing alone in her nursery? The questions flooded his mind as he watched Sofia reach up to organize the higher kitchen cabinets, Emma giggling softly at the gentle swaying motion. What Robert was about to discover would shatter every assumption he had about professional boundaries, parental duties, and the woman who had been quietly filling a void in his daughter's life that he hadn't even known existed. Sofia began talking softly to Emma, her voice warm and maternal. "My love, we need to clean these dishes so your papa has a nice kitchen when he comes home," she said gently. Emma responded with happy babbling, her tiny hands patting Sofia's shoulders as if she were encouraging the work. Robert felt his throat tighten. Emma was responding to Sofia with an ease and comfort that he rarely saw when his daughter was with him. During their time together, Emma was often cranky, demanding, or simply distant. He had attributed this to the terrible twos, to missing her mother, to the natural challenges of single parenting. But watching her now, so content and engaged, Robert began to wonder if the problem wasn't Emma's behavior at all. "Your papa works so hard for you, mi amor," Sofia continued, adjusting Emma's position on her back with practiced ease. "He loves you so much. But sometimes grown-ups forget that little ones need to feel close to people. That's okay." Sofia remembers. The words hit Robert like a physical blow. Sofia understood something about his daughter's needs that he had completely missed. While he had been providing for Emma financially, ensuring she had the best toys, clothes, and educational opportunities, Sofia had been providing something far more fundamental: human connection and physical comfort. Robert watched as Sofia moved to the refrigerator, Emma giggling as the motion made her bounce gently. The housekeeper opened the door and began organizing items, all while maintaining a steady stream of gentle conversation with the toddler on her back. "Should we make your favorite snack for when Papa gets home? The apple slices with the cinnamon you love so much?" Emma clapped her hands excitedly, and Sofia laughed. The sound of genuine joy between them made Robert's chest ache with an emotion he couldn't name. When was the last time he had heard his daughter laugh like that? When was the last time he had been the cause of such pure happiness in her life? As Sofia moved around the kitchen, Robert noticed details he had never seen before. The baby carrier looked well-worn and perfectly fitted to Sofia's frame. Emma's comfort with being carried suggested this was a regular routine, not a one-time occurrence. The easy communication between them, despite Emma's limited vocabulary, indicated a relationship built over time through consistent interaction. Sofia began preparing what looked like Emma's afternoon snack, still carrying the toddler who was now contentedly playing with Sofia's long, dark hair. "Your papa will be home soon, and we want everything to be perfect for him, don't we?" Sofia said softly. "He works so hard to take care of us." The casual way Sofia said, "us," made Robert's pulse quicken. In her mind, she and Emma were a unit. They were us, in opposition to Robert's him. Had he become an outsider in his own daughter's daily life? Had he been so focused on being a provider that he had forgotten to be a presence? Robert thought back to his typical interactions with Emma. Bath time was often a struggle, with Emma crying and fighting while he tried to wash her efficiently. Meal times were exercises in patience as Emma refused to eat, threw food, or demanded things he didn't understand. Bedtime was a battle of wills that left both of them exhausted and frustrated. But here was Emma, happy and cooperative, engaged and responsive. The difference was stark and undeniable. Sofia began cutting apple slices with professional efficiency, Emma watching the process with fascination. "See how Sofia cuts the apples? Very carefully, because we want them perfect for you." She narrated her actions. "When you're bigger, Sofia will teach you how to help in the kitchen." The promise of future shared activities between Sofia and his daughter struck Robert as both touching and troubling. Sofia was making long-term plans that included Emma. She was envisioning a relationship that extended far beyond her job description. But more concerning was the realization that Robert had never made such promises to his own daughter. His future planning for Emma involved schools, trust funds, and career opportunities. But Sofia was promising presence, skill sharing, and continued connection. Robert continued watching as Sofia arranged the apple slices on a small plate, adding a light dusting of cinnamon just as she had promised. Emma reached around Sofia's shoulder trying to grab a piece of apple, but Sofia gently redirected her tiny hand. "Wait, mi amor. Sofia will give you the first bite in just a moment." The patience in Sofia's voice was remarkable. Robert thought about his own reactions when Emma reached for things she shouldn't have. His instinct was often sharp correction, immediate removal of the temptation, or distraction through toys or screens. But Sofia used these moments as opportunities for gentle teaching and delayed gratification. Sofia turned so that Emma could see the completed snack plate. "Perfect. Now shall we sit down and have our apple slices together?" She moved toward the breakfast nook and Robert could see Emma's face light up with anticipation. As Sofia carefully removed the carrier and settled Emma into her high chair, Robert noticed something else that made his heart clench. Emma reached up toward Sofia's face with both arms, a gesture Robert recognized as his daughter's request to be kissed. Sofia immediately leaned down and kissed Emma's forehead, then both cheeks, causing the toddler to dissolve into giggles. The easy affection between Sofia and Emma revealed the depth of their bond. This wasn't just professional childcare. This was genuine love, freely given and joyfully received. Robert realized that while he'd been congratulating himself on providing excellent care for Emma through expensive nannies and structured activities, Sofia had been providing something money couldn't buy: unconditional maternal love. Sofia sat down next to Emma's high chair and began feeding her the apple slices, narrating each bite with enthusiasm. So sweet and good for growing strong," she said, and Emma clapped after each piece. Their rhythm was natural and unhurried, a stark contrast to Robert's often rushed feeding sessions where efficiency took priority over enjoyment. "Sofia loves spending time with you, pequeña," the housekeeper continued. "Every day, Sofia looks forward to seeing your beautiful smile." Emma responded with a string of babbling that Sofia answered as if she understood perfectly. "Yes, Sofia loves you too, mi amor. So much." The declaration of love hung in the air, and Robert felt something crack inside his chest. His housekeeper was openly expressing love for his daughter, and Emma was clearly reciprocating that emotion. When was the last time Robert had told Emma he loved her? When was the last time he had said it in a way that didn't feel rushed or obligatory? Sofia began singing again, this time a gentle children's song in Spanish, and Emma attempted to sing along with sounds and gestures that suggested she knew the melody well. Robert realized that his daughter was learning Spanish. absorbing culture and music that he knew nothing about. Sofia was enriching Emma's world in ways that extended far beyond housekeeping duties. The scene continued with Sofia wiping Emma's hands and face with tender care, then lifting her from the high chair to hold her close. Emma immediately snuggled into Sofia's embrace, her tiny body relaxing completely against the woman, who had clearly become her primary source of comfort and security. Robert watched as Sofia swayed gently with Emma in her arms, humming softly while the toddler's eyelids grew heavy. This was exactly how Emma should be comforted after a snack, exactly the kind of nurturing she needed to feel safe and loved. But Robert had never thought to hold her this way, had never created this kind of peaceful intimacy. "Time for a little rest, mi corazón," Sofia whispered to Emma. "Sofia will sit with you while you sleep." Sofia moved to the comfortable armchair in the corner of the kitchen, the one Robert had always assumed was just decorative furniture. But now he could see it was positioned perfectly for watching over a sleeping child while still being able to monitor cooking or cleaning activities. As Sofia settled into the chair with Emma curled against her chest, Robert understood that this arrangement had been carefully planned. The chair, the carrier, the snacks, the songs, all of it was part of a comprehensive system Sofia had developed to care for Emma while maintaining the household. She hadn't just been doing two separate jobs. She had found a way to integrate childcare and housekeeping into a seamless routine that served Emma's emotional needs. Emma's breathing grew steady and deep, her small hand clutching Sofia's shirt as she drifted toward sleep. Sofia continued humming, one hand gently stroking Emma's blonde curls while the other supported her securely. The picture they made together was so naturally maternal that Robert felt like an intruder in his own home. Tell me in the comments, do you think Robert should interrupt this peaceful moment or should he continue watching? Have you ever discovered that your child had formed a special bond with someone you didn't expect? Robert thought about the expensive nursery upstairs, with its designer furniture and high-tech monitoring systems. Emma had every luxury a child could want, but apparently what she needed most was the simple comfort of being held by someone who genuinely loved her. Sofia was providing that comfort in a kitchen chair, no special equipment required, just open arms and an open heart. The contrast between his approach to parenting and Sofia's was becoming painfully clear. Robert scheduled Emma's days with structured activities, educational toys, and developmental milestones. But Sofia gave Emma what she actually craved: consistent affection, patient attention, and the security of knowing someone was truly present with her. As Emma slept peacefully in Sofia's arms, Robert noticed something else that made his heart ache. Sofia looked completely content, as if holding his sleeping daughter was not a burden or an additional responsibility, but a privilege she cherished. Her expression was serene and fulfilled in a way Robert rarely saw in people who were simply doing their jobs. Sofia began speaking softly to the sleeping child, her voice barely above a whisper. "Sweet dreams, pequeña. Sofia will be right here when you wake up, always right here." The promise of constancy struck Robert as both beautiful and heartbreaking. Sofia was offering Emma something he realized he had never been able to provide: the assurance that someone would always be available, always present, always ready to offer comfort. His own schedule was packed with meetings, property viewings, and business dinners. Even when he was physically present with Emma, his mind was often elsewhere. Robert watched as Sofia carefully reached for a small throw blanket that had been draped over the back of the chair, another indication that this sleeping arrangement was routine and planned. She covered Emma gently, tucking the blanket around the toddler's small body without disturbing her peaceful sleep. The tenderness of the gesture made Robert think about his wife, about how naturally she had performed such small acts of love during Emma's first year of life. After her death, Robert had focused on maintaining routines and ensuring Emma's physical needs were met, but he had never developed the instinctive gentleness that seemed to come so naturally to Sofia. Sofia continued her quiet vigil, occasionally adjusting her position slightly to ensure Emma's comfort, but never in a way that suggested she was eager for the child to wake up so she could return to other duties. She seemed perfectly content to serve as Emma's personal sanctuary for as long as needed. After several minutes of peaceful silence, Sofia began speaking again, this time as if she were having a conversation with Emma's sleeping form. "Your mama would be so proud of the beautiful girl you're becoming," she whispered. "She would love seeing how smart you are, how kind you are." The mention of his deceased wife sent a shock through Robert's system. Sofia spoke about Emma's mother with familiarity and affection, as if she had known her personally. But Robert had hired Sofia after his wife's funeral. How did Sofia know anything about Emma's mother beyond what he might have mentioned in passing? Your mama had the same beautiful blue eyes, the same sweet smile. Sofia continued. Sofia sees her in you every day. She would want you to be happy, to feel loved every moment. Robert realized that Sofia must have researched Emma's mother, perhaps looking at family photos around the house or asking gentle questions to build a more complete understanding of the family she served. She had taken the time to learn about a woman she had never met, so that she could help Emma feel connected to her mother's memory. The thoughtfulness of this gesture overwhelmed Robert. While he had struggled with how to keep his wife's memory alive for Emma, Sofia had quietly woven that memory into daily conversations and interactions. She was helping Emma understand her mother's love as a continuous presence, not just a tragic absence. Before I continue with this story, let me ask you something that might hit close to home. Have you ever been so busy providing for your family that you forgot to be present with them? Have you ever realized that someone else was giving your child something you didn't even know they needed? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Sofia shifted slightly and Emma stirred but didn't wake, instead snuggling deeper into the woman's embrace. The trust Emma showed in that moment of vulnerable sleep spoke volumes about the security Sofia provided. Emma felt safe enough to be completely defenseless in Sofia's arms. Robert continued watching as Sofia maintained her patient vigil, occasionally glancing at the clock, but never showing any signs of impatience or urgency. She seemed to understand intuitively that a well-rested Emma would be happier and more manageable for the remainder of the day, making this nap time an investment in everyone's well-being, rather than just a pause in productivity. Sofia began humming again, a melody Robert didn't recognize but that seemed designed specifically for creating peace and comfort. Emma's breathing remained steady and deep, her small body completely relaxed against Sofia's chest. The scene made Robert think about his own childhood, about the nannies and housekeepers who had cared for him, while his wealthy parents focused on business and social obligations. He remembered feeling closer to some of those caretakers than to his own mother and father. Was history repeating itself? Was Emma finding the emotional connection with Sofia that Robert had found with his childhood caretakers? But there was a crucial difference. Robert's parents had been emotionally distant by choice, delegating childcare because they preferred adult pursuits. Robert's distance from Emma wasn't intentional neglect. It was the result of not knowing how to bridge the gap between providing and nurturing, between being a father and being a daddy. Sofia whispered something in Spanish to Emma, words Robert didn't understand but that sounded like blessings or prayers. He realized that Sofia was not just caring for Emma's immediate physical and emotional needs, but was also nurturing her spiritual and cultural development in ways that Robert had never considered. The complexity of Sofia's care for Emma was becoming clear. She wasn't just a housekeeper who happened to be good with children. She was a woman who had recognized Emma's deepest needs and had stepped in to fill them with the same dedication and love she would show her own child. Emma began to stir in Sofia's arms, making the small sounds and movements that indicated she was transitioning from sleep to wakefulness. Sofia immediately adjusted her humming, making it slightly more animated to help ease Emma's return to consciousness. Buenos dias, mi amor, Sofia said softly as Emma's eyes fluttered open. Did you have sweet dreams? Emma looked up at Sofia and smiled, that radiant, uncomplicated smile of a child who has woken up feeling completely safe and loved. She reached up to touch Sofia's face and Sofia pretended to nibble on Emma's tiny fingers, causing the toddler to giggle with pure joy. The interaction was so natural and loving that Robert felt tears sting his eyes. This was how Emma should wake up every day, surrounded by warmth, affection, and playful attention. Instead, Robert's typical morning routine involved efficient diaper changes, quick breakfast preparation, and hurried transitions to structured activities. Sofia stood up carefully, still holding Emma, and began walking around the kitchen. Shall we see what else we can do while we wait for Papa to come home? She asked. Maybe we can start preparing something special for dinner? Emma clapped her hands and babbled something that Sofia interpreted as enthusiasm. Yes, Sofia thinks that's a wonderful idea too. Robert watched as Sofia moved toward the refrigerator, adjusting Emma's position so the toddler could see the contents as Sofia opened the door. What looks good to you, pequeña? Should we make Papa's favorite chicken with the rice you love? Emma pointed at something in the refrigerator and made excited sounds. Sofia nodded seriously, as if Emma had made a sophisticated culinary suggestion. "Excellent choice, you have very good taste just like your mama did." Robert realized he was witnessing something extraordinary. Sofia was including Emma as a partner in meal planning and preparation, treating the toddler's input as valuable and meaningful. This wasn't just childcare. It was early education in decision-making, cultural appreciation, and family contribution. Sofia began removing ingredients from the refrigerator, narrating each choice for Emma's benefit. "We need the chicken and the rice and these beautiful vegetables. Emma picked such good ingredients for Papa's dinner." Emma beamed with pride at Sofia's praise, clearly understanding that she had played an important role in the family meal planning. Robert thought about his own dinners, which were often hastily ordered from expensive restaurants or prepared by temporary catering services. Emma was rarely included in food decisions and never participated in preparation. Sofia moved to the counter and began arranging ingredients, still carrying Emma, who was fascinated by every step of the process. "Sofia will teach you how to help cook when you're a little bigger," she promised. "For now you can be Sofia's special helper by watching everything very carefully." The promise of future cooking lessons was another indication of Sofia's long-term thinking about Emma's development. She wasn't just managing Emma's immediate needs. She was laying groundwork for skills and interests that would serve Emma throughout her life. Sofia began washing vegetables in the sink, adjusting her position so Emma could watch the water flow over the colorful peppers and tomatoes. Emma reached toward the water, and Sofia gently guided her small hand under the stream, letting her feel the temperature and texture while maintaining complete safety. "Water helps clean our food so it's healthy and delicious," Sofia explained. "Everything we put in our bodies should be clean and good for us." Robert marveled at Sofia's ability to turn every mundane task into a learning opportunity for Emma. Washing vegetables became a lesson about health and hygiene. Meal planning became practice in decision-making and family responsibility. Even nap time had been transformed into a demonstration of security and unconditional love. As Sofia began chopping vegetables with practiced efficiency, she kept up a steady stream of conversation with Emma, describing colors, textures, and smells in both English and Spanish. Emma was absorbing language, cultural knowledge, and practical life skills, all while feeling completely loved and included. Red peppers for sweetness, green onions for flavor, yellow corn for sunshine. Sofia narrated her preparation work. "Cooking is like painting, pequeña. We use different colors to make something beautiful." The artistic metaphor struck Robert as surprisingly sophisticated. Sofia was teaching Emma to see food preparation as creative expression, not just functional necessity. This was the kind of enrichment Robert paid expensive preschool programs to provide, but Sofia was offering it naturally as part of daily life. Sofia moved to the stove and adjusted Emma's position again so the toddler could safely observe the cooking process. "Fire is very hot, so only grown-ups can touch the stove," she explained. "But Emma can watch and learn so someday she can cook for her own family." Emma listened intently, her small face serious as she absorbed this important safety lesson. Robert realized that Sofia was teaching Emma both practical skills and safety awareness in ways that felt natural and non-threatening. The kitchen began filling with delicious aromas, and Emma made appreciative sounds that Sofia responded to as if they were having a sophisticated culinary discussion. "Yes, it does smell wonderful. Sofia is so glad you approve of our cooking." Robert found himself getting hungry just from the smells. But more than that, he found himself longing to be part of this warm, collaborative atmosphere that Sofia had created around something as simple as dinner preparation. Sofia began setting the table, still carrying Emma, who had become increasingly animated as dinner preparation progressed. Robert watched as Sofia carefully arranged plates, silverware, and napkins, including a special small plate and child-safe utensils for Emma. "This is Emma's special place at the table," Sofia explained to the toddler. "Right next to Papa so you can share dinner and tell him about your day." The thoughtfulness of Sofia's table arrangement struck Robert powerfully. She had positioned Emma's chair to facilitate conversation and connection between father and daughter, not just to manage the logistics of feeding a toddler. Sofia moved back to the stove to check on the cooking food, and Emma bounced excitedly in her arms as new aromas filled the air. "Almost ready," Sofia announced. "Papa is going to be so surprised by this delicious dinner we made together." The collaborative language Sofia used, "we made together," gave Emma ownership and pride in the meal preparation, even though her actual contribution had been minimal. Robert realized this was another form of education, teaching Emma to see herself as a capable contributor to family life. Sofia began transferring food from pans to serving dishes, and Emma watched every movement with fascination. "Beautiful presentation is important," Sofia explained. "We want Papa to know that this meal was made with love." Robert felt his throat tighten at Sofia's words. Made with love. When was the last time anyone had prepared food for him with love as the primary ingredient? When was the last time he had eaten a meal that represented someone's care for his well-being, rather than just efficient nutrition? Sofia looked at the clock and smiled. Perfect timing. Papa should be home soon, and everything is ready for a wonderful family dinner. Robert realized that this was the moment of truth. Sofia expected him to arrive home soon, and he would need to decide how to handle what he had discovered. Should he pretend he had just arrived? Should he confront Sofia about overstepping boundaries? Should he acknowledge the beautiful scene he had witnessed? Sofia carried Emma toward the front windows to watch for Robert's car, a routine that clearly happened every day. Emma pressed her small hands against the glass and babbled excitedly, and Sofia responded as if she understood every word. "Yes, Papa works very hard all day to take care of us." Sofia agreed with Emma's chatter. "We're so lucky to have such a wonderful Papa who loves us so much." The casual way Sofia included herself in Emma's family unit, us and we, no longer struck Robert as presumptuous. Instead, he was beginning to understand that Sofia had earned her place in Emma's world through consistent love, daily presence, and genuine care for the child's well-being. Emma suddenly pointed out the window and squealed with excitement. She had spotted Robert's Mercedes turning into the driveway. Sofia laughed and hugged Emma closer. "There he is. Papa's home." Robert quickly retreated from the hallway, slipping out the front door and walking back to his car. He sat in the driver's seat for a moment, trying to process everything he had witnessed and decide how to proceed. When he finally entered the house again, this time making normal noise to announce his arrival, he was greeted by the sight of Sofia holding Emma in the foyer. Emma reached toward him with obvious excitement, and for the first time in months, Robert felt like he was truly coming home, rather than just returning to his residence. "Welcome home, Mr. Sterling," Sofia said warmly, and Robert could hear genuine happiness in her voice. "Emma and I prepared a special dinner for you." Emma babbled something that sounded like "Papa," and reached even more insistently toward Robert. When he took her from Sofia's arms, Emma immediately snuggled against his chest in a way she hadn't done in months. Robert realized that Emma's earlier distance from him might not have been rejection, but rather the natural result of his own emotional unavailability. "Something smells incredible," Robert said, and he meant it. The aromas filling the house were warm and homey in a way his usual takeout dinners never achieved. "Emma was my special cooking helper today," Sofia explained, beaming with pride as she looked at the toddler. She chose all the ingredients and supervised the entire preparation. Emma clapped her hands at Sofia's praise, clearly understanding that she was being celebrated for her contributions. Robert felt a pang of regret that he had never included Emma in meal planning or preparation, never given her opportunities to feel useful and valued. "That's wonderful, sweetheart," Robert said to Emma, and she responded with excited babbling and reaching toward the kitchen. "Should we go see what you and Sofia created?" As they moved toward the dining room, Robert noticed details he had missed during his hidden observation. The table was set beautifully with small touches that made it feel festive rather than merely functional. Candles, cloth napkins, and a small bouquet of flowers from the garden created an atmosphere of celebration. "Emma picked the flowers this afternoon during our garden walk," Sofia explained, noticing Robert's attention to the centerpiece. "She has an excellent eye for color and beauty." Robert looked at his daughter with new appreciation. Under Sofia's guidance, Emma was developing aesthetic sensibilities, contributing to household beauty, and learning to take pride in creating welcoming environments for family. As they sat down for dinner, Robert noticed that Emma was unusually calm and cooperative. Instead of the fussing and resistance that typically characterized their meals, Emma seemed genuinely excited to eat the food she had helped prepare. Sofia served the meal with obvious pride, describing each component for Robert's benefit. Emma chose the peppers for sweetness and the corn for color. She was very thoughtful about creating a balanced, beautiful meal. Robert tasted the food and was genuinely impressed. The flavors were complex and satisfying, far superior to his usual restaurant orders. But more than the food itself, He was struck by the love and attention that had gone into its preparation. Emma ate with enthusiasm, occasionally looking at Sofia for approval and receiving encouraging nods and smiles. The communication between them was so natural that Robert realized they had developed their own language of gestures and expressions. "Sofia," Robert said carefully, "I need to ask you about something." Sofia's expression immediately became cautious, and Robert could see her preparing for criticism or confrontation. But instead of anger, Robert felt overwhelming gratitude for what this woman had given his daughter. "I came home early today," Robert continued. "I saw you carrying Emma, singing to her, caring for her in ways that go far beyond your job description." Sofia's face flushed and she looked down at her hands. "Mr. Sterling, I hope I didn't overstep. Emma is such a special little girl, and I just wanted to make sure she felt loved while you were working." The sincerity in Sofia's voice, the obvious love she felt for Emma, and the fear that she might be punished for caring too much broke Robert's heart completely. "Sofia," Robert said softly, "you weren't overstepping. You were giving Emma exactly what she needed, what I should have been giving her but didn't know how." Sofia looked up in surprise, clearly not expecting this response. Emma continued eating happily, unaware of the significant conversation happening around her. "I've been so focused on providing for Emma financially that I forgot she needed more than money can buy," Robert continued. "She needed presence, patience, and unconditional love. You've been giving her all of that." Sofia's eyes filled with tears. "Emma is like my own daughter, Mr. Sterling. I love her so much." "I can see that," Robert replied. "And she loves you too. The question is, what do we do now?" Sofia looked confused, uncertain about what Robert was suggesting. Robert took a deep breath and made a decision that would change all their lives. "Sofia, I don't want you to be just our housekeeper anymore. I want you to be Emma's official caregiver, with a salary that reflects how valuable you are to our family. I want you to help me learn how to be the kind of father Emma deserves." Sofia's tears began flowing freely. "Mr. Sterling, that's so generous, but I don't need more money. Taking care of Emma has been the greatest joy of my life. But I need you to accept," Robert said firmly, "because Emma needs you, and I'm finally honest enough to admit that I need you too, not just as an employee, but as family." The word family hung in the air between them, carrying the weight of all the love, commitment, and mutual support it represented. 6 months later, Robert's life had transformed completely. He had restructured his work schedule to be home for Emma's dinner and bedtime routine every night. Sofia had taught him how to carry Emma in the baby carrier, how to sing lullabies, and how to turn everyday activities into learning opportunities. Emma thrived under the care of 2 adults who had learned to work together as a team. Sofia continued to provide the patient, nurturing care that came naturally to her, while Robert learned to be emotionally present and engaged in ways he had never thought possible. The most beautiful change was watching Emma's relationship with Robert bloom. As he became more available and affectionate, Emma began seeking him out for comfort, play, and bedtime stories. Sofia had not replaced Robert in Emma's heart. She had helped create space for both of them. Robert often reflected on that Tuesday afternoon when he had discovered Sofia carrying Emma through their daily routine. He had initially felt threatened by their bond, but he came to understand that Sofia's love for Emma had made his own relationship with his daughter stronger, not weaker. Emma was now learning to cook, garden, speak Spanish, and navigate the world with confidence because she knew she was surrounded by people who would always be there to catch her if she fell. She had gained not just one loving caregiver, but a father who had finally learned how to show his love through presence instead of just provision. The Sterling family had grown that day, not through birth or marriage, but through the recognition that love creates family, and family creates love. So here's what I want you to ask yourself. Who in your life is showing love to your family in ways you might not have noticed? Who deserves recognition for the care they provide when you're not watching? Hit that like button if this story reminded you that the most important gifts we give our children aren't things we buy, but time we spend and love we share. And tell me in the comments, how do you make sure the people you love know they're valued? Share this video with someone who needs to be reminded that family is defined by love, not just blood, and that the most precious moments happen when we're truly present with the people who matter most.